Good day, viewers around the world. You're tuned in to News Echoes this Friday morning, our Global Africa update, our Global Affairs update, sorry. My name is Mark Rutte, and I'm here in Milan, Italy. Joining me from different parts of the world are my colleagues and coordinators. And with me is here now is BD Nana. BD Nana, you're welcome to News Echoes Friday Global Affairs.
Thank you, Massive Mark. Thanks for having me once again. Our viewers all around the world, thanks for joining us again today. Let's do it like always.
Let's do it like always, BD. Before we go into the more deeper discussion, let's look at what's happening with the IMF and the Nigerian Naira. Yesterday, BD, I know you're following some of those stories. Yesterday, the IMF, International Monetary Fund, IMF, has warned that our Naira may experience further 35% depreciation in 2024. So we might be sliding down due to the Nigerian production challenges. And it says the country's growth could fall to zero by the end of this year if care is not taken, and it will get worse. This is what IMF is saying. We don't know what their data are, but this is what they are saying to Nigerians and to the financial sector as at this morning. BD, what do you have on the IMF? What's that story?
Yeah, you've just said it. That's actually what they said, and this is not just coming. This is not the first. They said this. They made this warning last year, but Nigeria, being the kind of country it is, we don't actually take precautions, or we are not a projection country. If we are, what we are experiencing today did not just start today. With all this warning IMF and economists made last year, we should have put a lot of things in place, but we just sweep it under the carpet like we normally do, and that is actually what is going on in Nigeria. And like they said, that we are going to experience more than 35% drop in our currency, and it's visible. Without them saying it, we already know. But the problem is that what is our government doing to tackle this problem? What are they doing? Unfortunately, the government is still living in denial. They still have a way of trying to defend themselves, and in a bit to defend themselves, you see them lying or living in denial. So what MFM said is what is already here with us. It's already here with us. It's not just like a projection. We're already in it.
Okay. Thank you, BD. BD, you're here, and it's good you're here on this time, a time like this, to give us this update. Joining us also in same Lagos, Nigeria, is Olayinka Raji, our coordinator there in Lagos. Raji, you're welcome. Good morning to.
Good morning. Good morning.
All the first.
Good morning, Mr. Raji.
Yes.
Great. It's good to have you guys, because we're starting with this business issue, the IMF, and the warning they are giving us of a slide in our Naira as the year go by. Raji, do you have that update too? It says Nigeria Naira may experience a further 35% slide in 2024 due to Nigerians' production challenges. Production challenges is with a hyphen. So, Raji, what do you have on that?
First of all, see, I'm not an economist. I accept that I'm an economic illiterate. But then I've always wondered why we have dollarized our economy.
Okay.
Why is the dollar so important in our economy? And what is this production, whatever?
Challenges.
What is it?
Production challenges. Well, the production challenges, I think that
what
would
production
mean,
challenges?
Yes, that means that we are doing less in manufacturing and producing. And we are
manufacturing for what? Manufacturing to get dollars.
Human needs.
Why is dollarization so important to us? Why is the dollar so important to us?
Well, it's not about the dollar this time, Raji. It is that our Naira will be sliding It's not. They are not equating it to any current foreign currency as at now. They're only saying it will be
sliding against what?
Very good. Now this is what that means. When there is that situation, that means it's our Naira will be insufficient enough to tighten to help inflation. It will be insufficient enough to help inflation, and that will mean a lot in the normal day-to-day life of the people, because there will be surge in food price, there will be surge in commodities, and this all affects the
Mark.
Yes.
Mark, like I said before, I put it forward before. I'm not an economist, and economics is not an exact science.
Okay.
And I recall an American president saying that how wish he had a one-hand economist, because by the time they say all the economic terms, it comes to on the other hand, you see. So is our production so bad compared with Niger, Cameroon, Ghana, Ivory Coast, or any other country in Africa? What are we producing? What is it that is causing inflation in our if we have a propensity for imported materials, let us cut off the rate of dependency on imports.
Okay.
And use what we produce.
Now, what do we produce, Mr. Raji?
Go ahead.
If we cut off the dependency on importation, John, do we have enough to sustain us? That's part of that production we are talking about.
So what do we need to sustain us? What are the things? What are these things that you say we are not producing enough of that we need to sustain us?
Okay, for example, Raji.
Okay. Yes.
Even so now, do you know we still import rice? With all the money that President Buhari said we spent on rice cultivation, Nigeria still import rice today. Okay. In a land with vast, in a country with vast land, we import toothpick with all our forests. We import toothpick. Nigeria import bottled water with all our land with water. What is it that we don't import in Nigeria?
So why don't we stop? Why don't we stop the importation? What is the importance of toothpick?
Now, stop the importation. See, it didn't start today. Let me tell you, starting the importation it started by the time Nigerian government started making laws that destroys local productions. Do you understand? You and I remember when I was small, we had a Texas company. How many Texas companies do we still have in Nigeria today? None.
I do not think that Nigerian government was making laws to stifle local production. I think what happened was that there was free reign for import of materials from abroad instead of sustaining our local production. We used to have textile, we used to have cotton in most of the north. We used to have all these things. We used to produce our own materials. We used to produce our own textile materials until we started importing so much from China. Most of their initial imports were substandard to Nigerian products, and yet gradually we stopped our own production and we started depending on them. Became lazy.
No, we didn't become lazy because their own were affordable. Do you know today? Now, he said that Nigerian government did not make policies to staffing local production. They did, because let me tell you, even till today, foreign products are cheaper than local produced products. Companies are leaving Nigeria. Why are they leaving Nigeria? Because of the taxation, what they pay. How government stifles them, what they pay, raw materials, taxes. It is expensive for them to produce in Nigeria. So they go to neighboring countries in Africa. It's cheaper for them to produce there. Then they ship it back to Nigeria to sell. So that is how the government has staffing the local productions. Go to some supermarket today, you see foreign rice and see local rice. Local rice are more expensive than foreign rice. The one that surprised me, I saw one China oil, red oil. It was cheaper than our local produced oil. So it goes down to our policies. And we don't, like you talked about the cutting.
It is not policies. It goes down to our I don't think whether it is a mental retardation that is affecting us. I can't remember having bought anything imported
Raji, let me
that
tell
has
you.
a local that has a local alternative. I can't remember.
Let me tell you, I'm in the business
As far as
world.
I'm concerned.
I have a lot of manufacturers, a lot of SMEs that are folding up. And why are they folding up? It's because they can't afford to buy raw materials. Some of them, the tax they are paying is too much. Some of them, they have stopped local production. They now import from Nigeria. Let me shock you. I have a printer in Nigeria here. You know, we have a lot of printing this in Lagos, in Mushi. There's something they don't print.
Yes.
But this guy prints in China. He prints in China. He's in Lagos. He tells me that to print in China is cheaper for him. I'm telling you. These are our policies. But the truth is that Nigerians will not even accept.
Those are not policies.
It's policies, Oga.
No, it's not policy. There's no policy on it.
It's policies.
Now, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Why it's cheaper for him to print in China? We are talking about economy of scales. Economy of scales. The volume that he can print in Nigeria that will make economic sense to him is so small. But all the people, hold on. Do you know that the production cost for your phone, if it is produced locally, will be more than 10 times the local cost. 10 times the cost
locally.
But because of the mass production of it, there's a company in China that produces for almost every phone product, which is Foxconn. They have a workforce of about 1 million people, and they have all the machinery.
Don't you have the number? Don't you have the number? We have the number.
You don't have the numbers. You don't have the numbers.
No, it's not just number. It's also skilled numbers.
Skilled, yes.
China did not just start having that number overnight. They train them. They engage them.
Yes.
Let me come the number.
Why can't we train them and engage them? Do you understand?
Yes,
now, let me give you an example. I lived in the north when I was small. I was opportune to take us to Nasco Biscuits factory in Jos. Today, that Nasco Biscuit is not visible. It's no longer operational. And when I went out there, I saw a crowd of people producing biscuits. Then I felt, this is too much, because I don't understand. I was just a baby then. Do you understand? Now, if such factory has continued till now, do you know how many countries they will be supplying biscuits? Do you know how many people they will engage? Do you understand? So China did not just start having the number and having the skill. They grew them. We have the number. We can decide to grow them, but we're not looking in that direction.
I remember growing up and buying materials from China, from Japan, that we call them obey the wind.
Obey the wind.
Yeah.
They were very, very cheap. They were very, very cheap. You see, there's a way production is made so that initially you produce very, very cheaply, even if you are making losses, until you corner the market, which is what the Chinese and the Japanese have done.
Exactly. I like what you say. Now, in Nigeria, we've called on Nigerian government to subsidize things for SMEs in Nigeria. If they have subsidized things for SME in Nigeria, what you just said about China will be applicable to Nigeria. But Nigerian governments are not looking in that direction. Rather, what they are interested in subsidizing in Haji, that's religion. One of those things that has put us where we are today. If they have subsidized it, people will not be going to China to produce when a lot of people in the Mushi here will produce it. But because they are looking at their overhead, if they produce for them in that price or quantity, they won't make it because they buy things very expensive in Nigeria.
Madam, let me talk in my own field, electrical cables. There are electrical cables that are produced in Nigeria that are far, far, far of higher standard than other one that can import from China. I know how Nigerians have gone to China and given them specifications for electrical cables that are below the standard of what we produce in Nigeria, and which is so cheaper, and gradually have undermined local production.
Now,
So it's not the government policy. It is the people themselves. If we love each other enough,
it's not true.
will not be will not will, and then the government itself, where the government should come in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is by banning importation.
Let's break it up. Thank you very much.
Because let me say something.
BD, it's okay. Let's move on. Our time, we have limited time. Before we continue, let's also bring in our coordinator in Russia, Moscow, Russia, Dr. Godwin Ibe. You're welcome to News Echo Friday World Affairs.
Thank you so much for having me. Am I audible?
Loud and clear. Yeah. Good to have you. Gentlemen, let's move on. Yes, we were discussing on the issue. Nigeria, IMF has warned Nigeria that our Naira will be sliding as the year go by because of production challenges. So, but let's go on to other issues also making round, serious issues.
We need Dr. Godwin's view on this.
Yes, we need to move on. We need to move on to other topic. As at this morning, Dr. Godwin, it's good you're here. Iran says they supplied Russia with hundreds of ballistic missiles. And Russia is also saying they have no reason to hide it. He says, it's allowed. In a move to deepening military ties between Iran and Russia, it's been reported, major source, six sources has reported this morning, said Iran supplied Russia with substantial numbers of potent surface-to-surface ballistic missiles. Dr. Godwin, you have that story. Please give us your updates.
It's a word on the vine. It's the grapevine that Iran supports Russia. But this should not be a surprise to anybody except people who just want to make headlines. It shouldn't even be a headline. If an supposed ally, supports themselves, like the West supports Ukraine, and the whole conflict is more like a Russia-NATO conflict, why should there be news about an ally supporting an ally, even if they do not call themselves allies, or the relationship's a little bit less close as the ally status? But the main difference between what is happening with Iran and what is happening with Ukraine is that Russia do not necessarily need Iranian weapons. It's good to have them. It will help. It may even be more efficient, but they can do without it. They have the production for theirs. It may be more expensive to ramp up production instead of using Iranian options, but they have the technical know-how, the industrial capacity, and the budget to fund their military operations. We cannot say the same for the other side. Ukraine's economy is totally dependent on Western aid, totally dependent, both in their recurrent expenditure. There's almost no capital expenditure, all recurrent expenditure, military aids. I'm not saying this to slide them. I'm just trying to paint a realistic picture. A clear picture. So, and then how long can this last? We already have a lot of NATO allies saying we are out of money. Iran doesn't say we are out of missiles, we are out of aid, or we can stop supplying manpower. No one. North Korea has offered help. Iran has offered help. Even African countries like Sudan or that offered manpower. Russia has, rejected that. Not accepted. Let me use the word not accepted that yet. But you see, the Western allies are saying they're out of money, they're out of weapons. Biden administration, for example, is every day crying out loud, please support Ukraine, please, we have to. And then we have the political cycle, which means that if a Republican comes in, it's more likely that the aid will continue. So there's lots of both logistics problems and long-term problems for Ukraine. And then we also talk about the motivation. The motivation. Just one more thing. The motivation to aid. Usually, when Western investors invest in terms of aid, they want to see result. And then there's no result. There's loss of territories, loss of human lives. The mobilization that the former Commander-in-Chief Zaluzhny asked for was not possible. He's asking for it. He said that Avdiivka will be taken in 2 to 3 months, but it happened much earlier, showing the catastrophic nature of the shortage of manpower. But yet, those main underlying issues have not been resolved, and they don't look like they'll be resolved anytime soon.
Thank you very much. That's your comment on that. Anybody want to say any other thing, Raji? If you have anything, or we move on to other issues also. The UK government sanctioned the Russian prison chief that was watching over.
Very laughable.
Yes.
Quite laughable.
You're saying
I would swear if I did.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Let's
quite laughable.
Update. Raji, you come on this. What's the story there? Because
what is the problem with of UK with the prison chief in Russia? It's quite laughable. It's just like an ant yelling at an elephant for disturbing him.
Ant yelling. Okay. Anyway, after the Navalny's death, a lot of things is springing up. We know that that death.
May his soul rest in peace. May his soul rest in peace. It's a sad loss too. It's a sad loss. Yeah. We condemned all for any. We don't know what it is, but we also say that as a principle we condemn political assassinations. We don't know. We don't have enough information to call this one. It doesn't seem like one yet. There's so many variables, but as a principle, we do not support political assassinations, and we value the lives of every journalist. So may his soul rest in peace. But to sanction a prison chief or someone dying in prison, I mean, what we should rather look for is more negotiations so that evidence can be exchanged. The main reason is that in the Skripal case, evidence was not passed to Russia. In this case, Russia will not pass any evidence to the US. We need to get to a stage where there's enough trust and negotiation beyond political propaganda value so that evidence can be exchanged among both sides. And then we also need to move to the stage of prisoner exchange, because these soldiers, no matter what side they belong, Russia, Ukraine, NATO, they are brave men, brave women fighting for what they believe in, following orders. Every opportunity to reunite them back to their families should be welcomed and should be supported. So instead of doing that, you're doing sanctions and all this stupid childish stuff.
Anyway, Biden met with Navalny's widow and daughter. That's the picture there. And we know the man is gone. February 16th, that man left. What we're seeing again is that what UK is saying exactly is there were more, while he was in prison, the prison chiefs that were in charge of that section allowed him to get cold. He wasn't taken care of. He was treated in a very, very inhumane way. And that this is what the story is coming up. That's what we're hearing. So anyway, this is it. Raji, do you have anything to say again? BD,
nothing much on that. The man is gone, is gone. All that they are doing after it is just like my mom would say, campaign after election.
Yeah. So you don't blame his death on Putin, Russia's authority and all that. You don't blame his death for the brutal treatment he received while in prison.
The allegations so far. Just
allegations. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. The moment you are in prison,
it's called allegation, but we know that that's the truth.
I mean, it's your option. Look, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Look, for example, yeah, there are smarter ways to look at things. For example, we have Julian Assange in prison now. Yes,
Yes.
a lot of people are fighting for his release. The West is torturing him allegedly in prison. We have also such kind of similar news. Now
Yes.
we are saying release Paul Julius Assange. It's not productive. We have Paul Whelan, American diplomat, who served this country. He's in prison. A smart thing would have said me to say, okay, give us our man, take your guy. Yes? Instead of Gritney, they release in favor of Paul Wiebout, the arms. Yeah, I mean, he's also their guy. But I'm just saying, sometimes you look beyond childish propaganda value headlines
it's
and
not.
really
It's
get some strategic benefit or advantage.
It's strategic war going on.
Obviously.
Anyway, let's move on before we go on the break. George is not here, but in Canada, a white supremacist who killed Muslim family has gotten life sentence. I don't know if you guys are following that story. It happened some time ago. I was following it. He deliberately ran over 4 members of a Muslim family while they were out in a park. The family, the father, the wife, Salman Afizal, 46, his wife, Mediha, their daughter, 15, and even their grandmother, they were all killed. And now he's left with the couple's 9-year-old son that suffered some injuries that time but survived. So anyway, yesterday, the court has ruled and his life sentence. The judge said Nathaniel, the man's name is Nathaniel Wittman, attacked, represented an act of terrorism. That's what the judge said. So you guys don't have story on that. Third one, this is what we see all over the world. People are, I mean, you have the white supremacists, you have the black supremacists, you have all kinds of categories of people creating confusions everywhere. You have the government also, like Godwin said, doing all these controversial things and putting some people's life in danger. Okay, gentlemen.
Sorry. I just want to add something to that. Beyond headlines,
Right.
let us learn to name problems and offer solution. Yes? The problem is just not like white supremacy. The problem is that after this guy that has been caught, is it the end of the story? Is it the end of white supremacy that they've caught one guy? Or there are more? So what is fueling it? Name it and stop it. Now we know the things that fuel sentiment of residents. No, bad sentiment. Illegal immigration, open borders, insecurity, wokeness, and all this. This is destabilizing society. I don't want to sound racial, but as a black man, I would naturally say, oh, let's go and attack those white, let's go eliminate those white supremacists. But I know that even if you put a red Indian, it's not only the blacks that are red Indians were eliminated. There's always a tendency for the locals, indigenous, to revolt when they are destabilized, displaced, especially when they consider it with some set of rules that are double standard, not applied evenly, or are illogical.
Yeah, well, from my point of view,
what I mean, right?
Yes, very well. You sound good. You sound good. But from my point of view, the human nature always exhibits a negative side of it. Even if borders are controlled, even if immigration is checked, people will still bring out their ugly self. I mean, back in the days, in the 30s, in the 40s, there weren't border control issues. There weren't immigration issues, but you had white supremacy. You had people that want to think the other way around.
Okay, let me go along with your logic. Since everybody will die, why do we need safety? Let me go along with your logic. Since we all will die, why do we need safety? So you see,
anyway,
we are trying to reduce the chances. When you know something's aggravating factor, when you know something's aggravating, you try to nip it in the bud. That's what you try to do.
I tell you, none of those things will, if you nip those things in the bud, those factors you said, which are very, very apt of you, but it's just a human thing. Believe me, psychologists know this.
To some extent, yes.
There's no way you can curtail human excesses. Human beings are just what they are. I mean, put everything so good for them, you will still find them finding faults and going against a lot of things. Gentlemen, you guys are sounding good here. Let's go on the break. We have quite a number of viewers too, but we need to go on this break, so we'll come back on the other session. When we come back, we'll be talking about Europe, EU, US backing up the Dutch PM to be the next NATO officer. We'll be talking about the United States being in the moon again after so many years. The last time was 1972. Gentlemen, let's be back and join me the other side. Thank you.
A year ago, I wrote a book titled The Final Solution, and I was trying to say to the rest of the world that there are challenges ahead. Now, a prophecy did come, and that prophecy is coming to pass. But I'm telling you, the final solution has been found many years ago in the Bible, because the Bible simply says righteousness exalts a nation and sin is a reproach to the people. So I want you to know that you can get solutions to problems in Ukraine, in Russia, in Nigeria, indeed all parts of the world. We need that solution, and the solution is straightforward. Please get a copy of my book. It's the Final Solution by Bishop Shegun Johnson, and you can find it in Kindle, in Amazon. Just type Bishop Shegun Johnson, The Final Solution. It's very, very small book you can read within 2 hours, but it contains the final solution. Do get a copy. Not getting it is doing disservice to humanity. Don't forget The Final Solution.
Schengen Story magazine is an African international bi-monthly magazine based in Milan, Italy, and founded in 2016. The publication focuses on personalities, fashion, style, entrepreneurship, and culture for Africans. Though articles on food, movies, fitness, music, travel, sports, technology, and books are also featured. Our lives full of best stories. A lot can happen in a month. Expand your mind, change your world. Get Schengen Story magazine's full editions. Celebrating Africans make an impact. Read better, the inside story. Your fashion magazine for a better lifestyle. Inspiring stories for you. Your monthly dose of entertainment. A better mind, keeping you updated.
Hashtag
Hi there, I'm Mary Keurig, and I am a businesswoman in the United States, but I'm also the Global Content Vice President for the Sub-Saharan Open University in Nigeria. I could not be prouder to work with Dr. Osita Anamika and his team on helping to create not just entrepreneurs and skill-based talent that will get out into the workforce and make a living for themselves, but also young leaders. And to that end, with this integrity-rich university environment that's accredited now, and it's just an amazing opportunity for anyone there of any age to jump on board and learn, we want to let you know about a new offering that we have. We have a global governance and diplomacy course now provided by a whole team of people that crosses several countries to put together these resources and lots of great information for those of you who might be on the path toward public service and diplomatic service, NGO leadership, that sort of thing. We hope that you will walk through this open door and enjoy.
Viewers, we're back to our second segment in our program, SSN News Echoes. Today, Friday, World Affairs Update. And I'm here with my coordinators, my friends and brothers, sisters. Yes, Godwin, Raji, BD. Hope you guys can hear me loud and clear.
Yes, sir.
Nice. Good. So let's go on.
Loud and clear, yes.
Before we go on, let's look at South Africa. South Africa sets general election for May 29. South Africa, like we all know, is a very, very that's a huge country there. So looking at what happens there matters. South Africa will be going to the polls on May 29 to choose its parliamentary members and also to pick its president. And on Tuesday, the president, Cyril Ramaphosa, said everything is all in check to make sure it goes well. Who's following that story? South Africa, May 29 election. People are complaining that some things might go wrong, but the president is giving assurance that it will all pull out well. Is there any hint from anybody on this South Africa, May 29 election?
Of course, South African situations are very, very interesting.
Yes.
With the DFF and Baluma always making a lot of noise. Underlying all these things is the land question. And the land question seems to be cropping up almost every election time, the land question. And I think something has to be done very quickly about the land question.
Something has to be done quickly about the land question. And take note that South Africa has a soaring violent crime rate, very, very high.
Yes.
And its economy is not doing too well these days. Also, they found out that they now experience power cuts. South Africa now has electricity problem, and South Africa has a huge unemployment problem. Gentlemen, we are looking at South Africa, May 29. Let's see if government change, if the African National Congress, ANC, will still continue, or a new party will come on board. And if you know when it happens like this, what might happen is if they can't get the vote of ANC, they might now have a coalition, add other governments into it and form a government. That could happen. Okay, that's it. Thank you very much.
I have just one thing to say.
Go ahead.
May INEC not happen to them, or INEC drama not happen to them.
Honestly,
if at least,
that's a good one, Godwin.
I mean, that's my prayers for them. May INEC not happen to them, and I mean specifically the drama. Because if the people, one thing is not just about who wins and who loses, it's about the confidence of the people in the election result. There was minimal, I didn't say no, there was minimal to no rigging. And there's a significant level of confidence in the election result. This is what really matters and what will keep everyone at bay to wait for their turn, or to, not in our own kind of local way, but at least to wait for their turn and believe in the rules that they are fair for everyone.
Thank you very much. That's a good observation there.
That's a great fear. That's a genuine fear.
Still in South Africa, yes. Okay.
You see, I agree with Dr. Ibe 100%, because what is happening in South Africa is actually what has been happening in Africa generally, and it shows you the failure of ECOWAS and AU in Nigeria, because you know what other countries do? They emulate what is doable in other countries and try to replicate it in their own country, and that's exactly what is going to happen in South Africa if care is not taken. And you and I know that ECOWAS doesn't have a base in Africa today, and if this group of people that are trying to do this in South Africa succeed, it is another blow to ECOWAS.
Not ECOWAS, AU, you mean?
AU,
sorry.
There's a lot of confidence being lost in the ANC. ANC hasn't been able to fulfill the aspirations of most Black people, and I'm surprised. It started with the Santa Clausification of Mandela, and then Mbeki came in, and there was no difference. I had expected that from Mandela, serious effort would have been made to educate the Black populace, to provide some form of accommodation for the Black populace, to provide some form of vocational training for the men. Because in South Africa, the women do most of the job.
Okay.
The men
hang around and
need serious vocational training so that they will be useful. And then we'll still come back to the land question. You see, 10% of the white control 70% of the most arable lands, and the blacks are essentially landless. So all those things, there have been so many serious things that have not been addressed, and now people are losing confidence in ANC, and ANC is becoming desperate, and therefore may tamper with the electoral process in order to ensure that they come back to power, which Dr. Ibe put in Nigerian terms as may INEC not happen to them.
Okay, may INEC not happen to them. Gentlemen, he's still in Africa. Senegal outgoing president Macky Sall yesterday said his mandate will end April 2. So now he's coming to terms and realizing that he needs to get out. But he has left the date open. We don't know the exact date it will be when election will begin. You remember he postponed it last month, and as of yesterday, he said April the 2nd, his mandate as a leader will come to an end. Godwin, do you have anything on Senegal? Because the youths are really putting pressure on the president. The youths are putting pressure on the governors everywhere. Protests non-stop. Even when they try to quell them, they still make resistance, push through, scatter places. So maybe this is why the president has decided to, give it up. Give it up. Okay, Senegal, April 2, the man says he'll be going up. So let's come to the updates on Israel war and Hamas. We have some updates here, some local reports we're getting. Yesterday, there was a massacre in Gaza. Israel's army shelled residential homes and central Gaza, killing close to 40 Palestinians, authorities are saying. Nobody's doing anything about it. Also, Hezbollah says they carried out 12 attacks against Israel on Thursday. So while this happened on this other side, Hezbollah did their own reprisal attack. Godwin, what do you have on Israel? Israel is...
Let me tell you something. Just imagine that... See, when I talk about all this hypocrisy and double standard, it's like, it's like as if I'm trying to be anti-somebody. I'm not anti-somebody. I'm just trying to tell you. Imagine tomorrow that Nigeria becomes a superpower. I don't mean to blow your mind. So just for 1 second, go with me.
Nice, that's a good blow of mind.
Just imagine for 1 second that we solve all our problems and we become a superpower. And then Nigeria says, well, I want to, occupy one of the neighbors, right?
Bakassi.
And then, and then says, I just want to stroll in there and, occupy. And then US now says, what? This is against our rule-based order, our lifestyle, our diplomacy, democracy. And then what would Nigeria say then? Wait a minute. When Israel was bombing Palestine, where were you? When in the UN, they were trying to make so many resolutions for ceasefire in Gaza, you vetoed all of them so that there will be no ceasefire. Not even that you're supporting Palestine, just so that there will be a ceasefire. You vetoed the resolution.
Humanitarian ceasefire.
Humanitarian ceasefire. You vetoed it, said no, we don't need that kind of ceasefire. Then what did we Nigeria say then at that point? You see, so you are not just causing a problem, killing a lot of people. You are creating the foundation for a future problem. And the person will refer you back to that. What you did then, and the person will have enough reasons to do it. And all his citizens will stand behind that president who defends his interests against the interests of a future world police idea. So you see what the kind of problem. It's very sad. Lots of lives are not valued the way they should be. I always argue for negotiation, for prisoner exchange, for ceasefire. these things that save life and allow room for peaceful resolution of conflict. I also take in mind that these actors are not irrational as one side like to paint the other side. Oh, crazy, let me use the word of Biden, crazy SOB. Yeah. These rhetorics don't help because these are rational actors. They have. I was on BBC, not BBC. I was on a UK station, Christian station, and then they asked me, "The citizens support who?" I said, "No, citizens don't support. They support national interest, and national interest could mean gaining territory, protecting trade routes, saving human lives, or just basically enrichment." So these are the reasons why such citizens will stand behind their president if it's in their national interest, even if it's against this humanitarian thing that we are deceiving ourselves with double standards today.
So I have something to say about this. Okay. I don't think there's a war in Gaza. I think there's just oppression. So when people talk about Hamas Israeli war, I don't understand. There's no war. A war will be between two armies.
Two armies, yeah.
There's no army in Palestine that Israel is fighting. Israel just wants to bulldoze the people out of Gaza so that they can have space to do the Ben Gurion Canal that they want to do.
It seems that way. I mean, we not that we also condemn the October 7th, you know, just like we condemn the October 7th attack here, we condemn the Gazan occupation. We are not trying to pick sides, but we are trying to say that loss of human lives is unacceptable, irrespective of whatever camp you are. We try peace as much as possible.
Try peace as much as possible. Thank you, gentlemen. Let's come down to some other news that fascinates me. As a young man, I get fascinated by aircraft, space, landing, and all that. So yesterday, I was live with them, watching all the events, and it was quite an interesting thing to see. When you see mankind being able to put up a machine and put up all those things that goes against gravity and launch it out there, it's exciting. US NASA backed up a private company called Odysseus craft company, and they were able to land on the south pole of the moon. And this is coming up since 1972. They are there, they say, to drill for water for upcoming manned missions. So it's a private company that did that, but NASA backed them up with a $180 million dollars project. And as of this morning, we're still monitoring their movement up there. Who likes space like me? Who's following this?
I want to put in a word.
Yeah,
I've been wondering why America had not gone back to the moon since 1972.
Yes,
that's almost 50 years. And I've been tempted to believe that maybe the first moon landing was actually a hoax.
Yes, that's what a lot of people say, but it's not true. It's real.
Now they seem to be proving me wrong that indeed it was not a hoax.
It was not a hoax. It was not a hoax. It was real.
But anyway, India did it recently. We must remember, right?
Yes, India did it recently.
India did that.
Everybody.
Russia made an attempt. It was not successful.
Yes.
And although they've done it before, but the last one was not successful. And there's no doubt that since India and US has done it, Russia would definitely want to also.
But my question is this.
Billions are lost there. Billions.
My question is this. Okay, after 1972, because this company that did this thing, they said is a Texas-based private company.
Yes.
If that landing was so successful, why does it have to take them up to 50 years to land again?
50 years.
You mean the first one? The first one?
Yeah, the Americans.
Yeah, you know, it costs. First of all, it's a very expensive venture. Very expensive venture. Number two, it has many variables have to be right. So many variables. And one example is even just what do you call this? Escape velocity and exiting exit and entry into the atmosphere. It's also a very big hurdle, and also breaking in.
And we're tracking here in the broadcast booth. The clock has reached the expected.
May take a minute for comms to reestablish. Standby.
Godwin.
There it is, mission director beating us to it. We've
Godwin, you can continue speaking.
But now is the process of waiting for comms, and we are in standby mode, as you heard it from the mission director, Dr. Tim Crane. And 1 minute has elapsed from the notes that we have, Gary, of that original burn starting at PDI.
You have carrier lock.
That's MD asking if we are getting the ground stations locked on to Nova C.
We're evaluating how we can refine that signal and dial in the pointing for our dishes. What we can confirm, without a doubt, is our equipment is.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I was telling you to go ahead and talk.
Yeah, I was saying that the Soviet Union's Luna 2 mission was the
let's
first
tell our
craft
viewers
to reach.
what you're seeing. Sorry, what you're seeing is the landing. This was last night. I think 9 p.m. American time. So that was the landing, and how the control center was celebrating.
Here in the mission control. What an outstanding effort. I know this was a nail biter, but we are on the surface and we are transmitting.
Normally you have this crowd of people. These are enthusiasts. These are watchers, watchers and space watchers. You know, they just come and hang around and watch this whole event play out. Thank you very much. So Godwin.
So I would say congratulations to them. It's a great achievement, at least to repeat the achievement for the second time. Like I said, the Soviet Union's Luna 2 mission was actually the first spacecraft to reach the moon, to land on the moon. It landed in 1959. That's much before 1972. And yet, even as at that achievement, Russia had not been able to land the moon yet, land a spacecraft on the moon for the second time. So it's a difficult venture, and it's a money gulping venture.
Money gulping venture.
Sorry. Why was there so much bad belly against the Indians when they landed on the moon? So much bad belly.
So much. It was just, especially in the Western press, it was just.
Yes.
I mean, Russia welcomed it. Everyone was. Even we were like,
there was so much bad belly.
In the Russian media space, it was targeted mostly about on our space agency. Well, if Russia can do it, why are we not doing it? If India could do it, why are we not doing it? But not against India, but in the Western press.
Yeah. So much bad belly.
You know, the Western world will always want to lead, but when they see another country out of Western world trying to take their place, you don't expect them to appreciate it or applaud it. Yeah. That's actually what happened.
That's what happened.
And India did it so quietly.
Yes.
India cannot be quiet. They have 1.5 billion people. Yeah,
we're very sure.
You can only be quiet in your room, but outside they can't be quiet because 1.5 billion.
Let's give this update before we continue. US and the Europeans are backing the outgoing Dutch. There's the outgoing Dutch Prime Minister, and they want to take him as the next NATO head, NATO boss. He's called Mark Rutte. Mark Rutte is able to succeed the current NATO boss that is leaving, Jens Stoltenberg. Now, this all matters in world geopolitics and ongoing situations around Russia and NATO, Ukraine, because this man is a tough liner, actually, but a very strange man, Mark Rutte. Strange man, but tough liner. He believes he believes in Europe. He believes in the EU. He believes in NATO too. So him coming in might bring in some tough line decisions, and we don't know what could also be playing out. There is Russia aggressive war against Ukraine. There are so many blatant violations from both sides. And this could all add up to some decisions being taken. So let me start with you. That's Mark Rutte there. Let me start with you, Raji. The new Prime Minister becoming NATO boss. What will that be like?
It's surprising to me why these so-called powers are more interested in war than in peace. Well, because in the first instance, the Ukrainian war was very, very unnecessary. Very, very unnecessary. And all this NATO saber rattling it just shows an empire when it is winning, it starts getting so strident in its saber rattling. There's more money. There seems to be more money for war than for peace. It baffles me. It baffles me. There's no reason for NATO at all because Europe is not under threat. There's no threat in Europe. Europe is not under threat. So why is NATO?
Why NATO?
Other than to cause more disruptions. Look at the energy crisis in Germany now because of bombing of the Nord Stream pipelines, which was not necessary.
Not necessary.
I have just one question. Where is Boris Johnson?
Nobody knows.
I thought he was supposed to be the next one. Where is he?
Oh, you thought he was
you know what it is? Oh my God. And this other guy, what's his name?
Projection.
That was the projection at the point. Yeah. Let me tell you something, what this thing tells you. Two things. Number one, Raj said it, pointed it out. Number one, you have to be a hawk, a anti-Russian hawk. That's number one. Number two, which has eliminated Boris Johnson most probably, is that you have to be predictable, you have to be amenable, you have to be manageable, not a wild card. You have to be predictable. You have to be your policy have to be for a long time well known. You can't be someone who flares up or who thinks for himself or who can deviate from possible anti-Russian policy.
Posture.
So these are two things that you can see why you'll pick one and eliminate the other. Otherwise, there's absolutely no reason. And instead of EU, what I would even want is like EU, for example, is a big, strong continent, union. Why can't they have their own army? And why can't countries be sovereign, also protect themselves, have their own national armies? Why do they need armies? Single thing. I mean, if they must have, because they have to give 2% of their GDP to NATO. They have to take 2% and give NATO.
All right, gentlemen.
I totally agree with
Let's hear from PD.
I totally agree with Dr. Godwin, because if you look at how United States, United Kingdom, France, and Germany are throwing their weight behind this man, it's obviously that is the man they can remote without problem. Yeah, I totally agree with him.
Mark Rutte is a tough line actually. He rides bicycle to walk. The little I know of him. When I was in Holland, I had a glimpse. I had some small update on him. He rides bicycle to office. He wears one particular kind of dress at every time. He measures his cup of tea, his sugar and tea. That's the man. That's the kind of man he is. All right, then, let's round up. Another place replacement is going on is Boeing aircraft 737, the MAX, that one that blew up last time. The Boeing boss has resigned, and now there's a new boss. A new boss is taking in, is a woman this time, taking in as the new boss of Boeing after that situation where the plane blew up, the windows blew open mid-air. Yes, and a little boy that was sitting next to the mom, his dress was sucked out of him because of the pressure of the wind. So Boeing has replaced his boss. And I don't know, do you have anything on that? If not, it's time to go, guys. Anybody want to say anything on Boeing replacing? No. Okay.
No.
Gentlemen,
I can only hope like that first of all, congrats to the new boss. I can only hope that they chose out of competence and not all this diversity, equality, and all this thing. Otherwise, more windows obviously will leave the so I hope it was based on competence.
Godwin has set us out. That one is the highest comic for weekend. Gentlemen, thank you. You all have done so well coming by. We've done it, viewers. This is it. SSM News Echoes Friday World Affairs update. And Godwin is now a stand-up comedian. Godwin from Moscow, Russia. Raji Olayinka Raji from Lagos, Nigeria. BD, beautiful looking.
Thank you very much.
From Lagos, Nigeria. Thank you guys. Till we come your way next week again. Have a beautiful weekend. Thank you, viewers. Bye-bye.
All right. Have a nice weekend. Bye.